the first week of a brand new year, thinking how unlikely that despite the war outside me and inside me, I am still here. The ink stains all the same, whether someone comes or goes. And if this is what remains, well then it must be what I chose. And now the sunlight seeping in, threatening to wake the walls, saying you are so big, you are so. Ricochet from thumb to thumb while watching the weeks pass. I have torn my corners, I have loved from skin to glass. I have prayed for patience like an enemy of time, and I have begged for freedom from the meter in my mind. But the ink stains all the same, whether someone comes or goes. And if this is what remains, well then it must be what I chose. And now the sunlight seeping in, threatening to wake the walls, saying you are so big, you are so small. I can feel the floor, it is cold against my cheek. That is how I know that it is separate from me. And now the sunlight seeping in, threatening to wake the walls, saying you are so big, you are so small. And now the sunlight seeping in, threatening to wake the walls, saying you are so big, you are so small.
Recorded live for World Cafe in front of a studio audience in Philadelphia, it is Talia Schlanger, a performance of So Small. It's a song from her solo debut album, Grace for the Going. If her name sounds familiar, that's because for years she was the host of this very program. And before that, a stage actress who's performed in Mamma Mia, We Will Rock You, and American Idiot. And oh, by the way, in addition to being on tour, Schlanger can be heard guest hosting the premier Canadian arts and culture program, Q. Should I keep going?
No.
And finally, full disclosure, she is my friend. Welcome back to World Cafe, Talia Schlanger.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here with you. So thank you for having me.
The feeling is mutual. There is so much I want to get into. I want to talk about the album Grace for the Going, but I want to rewind a little bit and give people some context, because before you had a music career and a solo debut album out, before you were a radio host, you were a singer.
Yeah.
Your first love, yeah?
Yes, singing was my first love. You could not get me to be quiet when I was when I was a little kid, and there's a whole treasure trove of family home videos of me just like jumping up on the couch and singing all of Les Mis for my family when I was like a little one. So yeah.
So not a garage band, theater, the stage.
Yeah.
That was the dream as a kid?
That was what I was really into when I was little. And I sort of grew up doing community theater and admiring all the kids around me who had these amazing voices, and took lots of singing lessons in the context of musical theater, which is a very different kind of singing than I'm doing now, but gave me sort of a really good foundation for thinking about how to use my voice in sort of big and small ways.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it obviously was something that you took very seriously. Stage productions of American Idiot, We Will Rock You, Mamma Mia. I'm sure you have 100 great stories about that time in your musical career. Is there one or something that stands out from that time where you were really, really in that world?
Oh, yeah. It's going to sound name droppy, but it's the first thing that came to my mind. And I'm going to say it.
Please.
We did, when I was doing We Will Rock You, it was the original Canadian company. And after maybe 5 or 6 months of doing the show, Brian May and Roger Taylor from Queen came, but they didn't come to see the show. They came to play the finale, Bohemian Rhapsody, with us on stage. And it was the craziest moment. Roger Taylor was like sitting on this drum throne, and he was like wheeled in from the back of the stage, and Brian May was standing there and played that crazy guitar solo, standing like this beautiful wizardly man. And the thing that you kind of we all kind of blacked out in that moment, but the thing that I really remember was having all of us came into work the next day and couldn't move our necks, because we had been headbanging so hard during Bohemian Rhapsody that truly everybody needed physiotherapy, or PT, I guess as it's called here, for our neck-induced injuries. It was worth it, though. It was amazing.
You're listening to World Cafe. We're talking with Talia Schlanger. Her debut solo album is available now. It's called Grace for the Going. So we don't have to relive your entire radio career, but people who are listening might know that you did this show for a couple of years as the host. So I want to actually jump to a moment in 2019, summertime 2019. You're living in Philadelphia. You've been the host here for 2.5 years. It's arguably one of the best gigs in broadcasting, not to mention probably one of the safest and most secure. Those things play a part. But a spider sense is tingling in your head around that time. What's going through your brain?
I had been journaling a lot in the mornings because I had to make a decision about whether to stay or not. My contract was 3 years. And leading up to that summer, I'd been journaling a lot and asking myself a lot about what I wanted. And one thing that I took really seriously while I was here was that I had to wish, like with every fiber of my being, success and goodness for the artists that I was talking to, like that the conversation that we were having would serve them in their career. Mm-hmm. And I took so seriously feeling that genuinely. And then when I started to feel a little bit like I wanted that for myself, I couldn't kind of unsee that. And I remember, like, as I'm here right now, it's such a trip because we're on this beautiful stage downstairs at World Cafe Live. I remember sitting there in the audience and interviewing Alinda Segura from Hooray for the Riff Raff for that amazing album that had Palante on it. I can't remember what the record was called. And I remember sitting there and looking up at her while she was playing and thinking, I want to do that. And I kind of couldn't ignore that voice anymore. So I just decided to take a crazy chance and leap and try.
Did you appreciate the idea of being scared again, being a beginner again?
That's such a great question. Exactly. Not that I was ever fully like doing this job, your job, it's hard. And I always found it scary talking to people, but I did get a lot more comfortable over time. And then being scared again. Yeah, I actually started taking improv classes in my last year of being here at World Cafe to give myself a chance to be terrible at something and not be scared of that.
We're talking with Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe. There is a lot more to get to, including talking about the debut solo album, Grace for the Going. But we want to get into another performance. Oh, I have been busy. I'm busy often defending my right to be forgotten. Now, that is a curious premise. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going on with Right to Be?
Yeah, the idea sort of started with, I read about this legal concept that is in Europe that called the right to be forgotten, which is if there's something about you on the internet that you don't want to be out there about you, do you have the right to have it taken down, to be forgotten? And I thought that that was such a poetic way of phrasing that rule, the right to be forgotten. And then I thought a lot about, I really hid myself away after I left here. Like I went on self-imposed exile for a long time, and then COVID happened directly afterwards. And I felt like I had built up this fortress around myself where I was defending my right to be away from everything, to create. And then it sort of morphed into this other thing. I was thinking a lot about Judy Sill, this amazing folk singer from the late 60s, early 70s, who was largely forgotten, and also thinking about what it is to be a woman and to be aware of timelines in your life. All this stuff sort of swirled around and then became what you just said.
Well, we would love to hear it. It's Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe.
I have been busy watching the door, defending my right to be forgotten, to dissolve in air, like Judy and the cross, wholly lost in amberite. Stare at the answer scrawled on some temple wall. Either use it or it's useless of us all. Oh, I have been busy choosing the days by which to measure when I am entirely too late to escape the threshold floor, too late to take more, make what I am made for, to forgive the shapes that have grown too tall for the use it or it's useless of us all. Oh, 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 oh. No one chooses the gifts that are bound by their bones, wrapped in bruises. Use it or it's useless. Use it I have been busy. I'm busy often, defending my right to be forgotten.
Recorded at World Cafe Live in Philadelphia, it's Talia Schlanger with Right to Be. Song appears on her new solo album, Grace for the Going, and Talia is my guest today on World Cafe. I want to pick up our story. You decide to leave World Cafe in 2019, and you've carved out a little bit of time. You're going to go off the grid. What is that? What does that end up looking like? What does that end up being?
So at that point, I also had a big life change at that time. And I didn't really have any furniture or anything to move with me. So I packed up my things into a rented minivan and drove home to Toronto and had some like boxes of my clothes and books and whatever and put it in my parents' basement. I spent like about a week in Toronto, and then I got on a flight to London. I didn't have an apartment anywhere anymore, and rent is so expensive in Toronto. I couldn't be in the US anymore because I'm Canadian and my work visa was done. So I figured as long as I was spending less on Airbnbs in Europe than I would have on rent in Toronto, that I was free to roam for a little while. So going away gave me the chance to be like, okay, what do I want to listen to today? What is grabbing my ear, and where's my creative voice in that? Yeah.
Is that where you started to figure out what would become the DNA of Grace for the Going?
I'd say, yeah, it's where I found the guitar that I ended up writing the record on. So that was pretty big.
In Paris. I'm not going to let you ignore that part. You talk about writing a screenplay or something like a romantic version of finding yourself and finding your music and finding what you're going to do. You went to Paris, and tell me the story of this guitar.
Yeah, I felt like I needed something to write with, and I sort of just said to myself, okay, like go to all the secondhand stores and try some acoustic guitars. And I gave myself a budget of less than €100, whatever it was, had to be less than €100 so that I wouldn't feel too badly if I didn't connect with it or if I was garbage at playing the guitar, because I hadn't really taken seriously playing on it before that trip. And so I just spent a few days really, truly going to all of the secondhand stores and pawn shops and wherever, and walking on foot everywhere and just asking various guitars if they had any songs for me. And then I found this one at a shop and I sat down with it, and immediately it just felt like home. And so I took it home, and I thought, okay, if we don't connect, I'll donate it to a music school around the corner or something like that and be on my way. But it ended up giving me my record. So
yeah, and now it's here. Your debut album, Grace for the Going. We're talking with Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe. Song about relationship, song about extinction, song about Judy Sill, a moving song about your grandparents. There seems to be a lot of different touchstones. Did you feel is that when you were working on this record, that there was a unifying theme that was sort of buried under the surface? Or
it's not till now that I'm understanding it. Like, you've heard people say this a lot, I'm sure, and I've heard people say it a lot too, that they'll write a song or a record and they don't really know what it's about until after it's done and it's out. And whenever people said that, I was always kind of like, come on, really? Like, you know what you're writing about when you're writing it. Give me a break. But having gone through that process, it's I can say it's true in my experience as well. And talking about the record now, like, I'm realizing so much of it is about survival. And it sort of like took my breath away to realize that a bit, because I have the Endling, which is a song about extinction. I have See You Home, which is about my grandparents' survival.
See You Home.
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much, so I'll give you the word on this. Tell me about the message behind this song or the story behind this song.
Yeah. So my grandparents both survived the Holocaust, and they met towards the end of the war, and they ended up giving birth to my aunt in a deportation camp in Germany, which had been Bergen-Belsen, the concentration camp. They were never in the camps there when it was a concentration camp, but that's where they lived as refugees. And it took almost 3 years for them to get permission to come to Canada. And my Bubba, is my Bubba and my Zeta, my Bubba, with everything that she had survived, like the unimaginable, is about to get on a boat and cross an ocean with a toddler to a place that she's never even seen a photograph of and doesn't speak the language. But what she was really, truly scared of was just the actual journey of crossing the ocean. Mm-hmm. And it was a really, really rocky one. Like, the particular voyage that they were on was really difficult. And the story that we were told about it was that she could feel the ship swerving from side to side, and she could feel in her heart that she was sinking and sinking and sinking. And she held my aunt, Todd, 3-year-old, and made her a promise that if the waters rose and tried to overtake the boat, that she would just hold her really high over her head with her last breath, and she would be saved. And I heard that story for the first time. My aunt, who's the subject of the story, told it at my Bubba's funeral when I was 14. And I heard that story, and I didn't even have I didn't know emotionally what to do with it then, and it took me, I guess, 20 years to sit with it and write this song with my grandmother in her memory and sort of with her in collaboration.
It's beautifully said. We would love to hear that one song. It's Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe.
I know you are tired and scared to close your eyes. I'll keep watch until we reach the ocean's other side. Then I'll lay beside you in the still of sleep, breathing like it's simple, dreaming like it's free. And if waters rise to great unknown, I will hold you high, and I will see you home. Long before the oldest oak embraced the linden tree, long before the thought of you ever occurred to me. A new day came from darkness, the sea released the land, and we were born a promise to the palm of mercy's hand. So if waters rise to great unknown, I will hold you high, and I will see you home. I would gather all the stars if they were ours to keep, and fill your pockets with a light that you could always see. No matter the leaving, no matter the fear, no matter how hard they try, my love, we are here. And if waters rise to great unknown, I will hold you high, and I will see you, I will see you. And if waters rise to great unknown, I will hold you high, and I will see you home. The last time we heard you, you were calling out over the canopy. Harmony held you, carried your name every time they try to sleep. Long gone the daughter who left you in the water, the son of a sword, a seed of tone. There in the cavity with nothing to eat, you fought to grow limbs of your own, and yours would have done the same, but their chance never came round. You are the endling, the ending of a sound. They came to collect you, came to protect you from meeting a sixth and fighting. A race to the bottom before you're forgotten, before it's too late. They searched high and low and held on hope and let it go, and only you were found. You are the ending of a and four walls, and for all your weight is worth. Carry your body, bury 300 million spins of wisdom in her. One last cry, one last goodbye to a lover deep underground. You are the ending of a sound.
Recorded live for World Cafe, it's Talia Schlanger with the Endling. It's from the new album, Grace for the Going. Talia is my guest today. I am Kallao. It's World Cafe. Tuffy. Who is Tuffy? Because I think it's important for people to have context. This barn burner of a song we just heard is about, well, a frog was a frog. I mean, who's Tuffy?
Yeah, you got it. It's a eulogy for a frog, that song, named Tuffy.
Songwriting inspiration comes in the most unusual places. This one from a Guardian article or something, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah, I went pretty far down. The Guardian, I think, was pretty far ahead of the curve on climate reporting. And I really like the way that their environmental writers approach things. And there was this article, the headline was "Frog Goes Extinct, Media Yawns." You got to read that article. And it was about the world's last Rab's fringe-limbed tree frog, which is a type of frog that's native to Panama. And the last known one of this species was called Tuffy, and he was cared for at a conservation facility in Georgia by this herpetologist named Mark Mandica. And the article told the story of Tuffy and about the very distinctive sound that Rab's fringe-limbed tree frogs make, and about how amphibians are sort of the canaries in the coal mine for our biodiversity crisis. And Tuffy just got right into my heart. That froggy just got right into my heart and made me want to write a song. And there you go. I forgot to say the most important thing. The word Endling means the last creature of a species before extinction. So Tuffy was an Endling. Yeah.
We're talking with Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe. The new album is available now. Debut solo album called Grace for the Going. You wrote this song in 11/4 time to mimic the feeling of a panic attack. What an intriguing proposition, like to create a little bit of disorienting nature when you're hearing this song. What was the genesis of Narrow Bridge?
Yeah, so there's actually this old Hebrew folk song that I learned as a kid. And it goes, Kol haolam kulo gesher tzar meod, gesher tzar meod, gesher tzar meod, ve'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, ve'ha'ikar lo lefached klal. And the words mean the whole world, all of it, is a very narrow bridge. And the point is to not be afraid. And it's a weird thing to connect with as a kid, but that song just stayed with me. And then when I just sort of started having panic attacks when I started doing radio, actually. And then kind of got them under control for a while. And in COVID, they became a thing again. And I thought a lot about that song and how, all of life, whether we think about it on a day-to-day basis or not, is so precarious all the time, right? How are we getting through? Who knows? Just keep walking. And then the song, like the meter kind of emerged because I think a waltz is a very relaxing rhythm, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I thought, like, what if a waltz was just kind of missing a beat every fourth bar, kind of like what a panic attack feels like. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you kind of can't catch your breath, but there's also something meditative about it. And when you're in it, you're sort of in this loop of it. And it just felt like that feeling to me. And that's how the song happened.
Would you play it for us?
Happily, yeah.
It's Talia Schlanger here on World Cafe.
Show me love. Show me where it hurts. Promise I won't tell you. Someone else has had it worse. Catch it now. Coming down the edges of your measured mouth, the drip drop, aching to be heard. Didn't you try to outrun your inside? Over the narrow bridge, under the glow of impossible light. Tell me love, I
Thank you very much.
Recorded live on World Cafe, it's Talia Schlanger with Narrow Bridge. The song is from the new album, Grace for the Going, which is available now. Talia, I was so sad when you left because you're so good at what you do and you're such a remarkable human being. But during that performance, seeing your smile on your face and everyone in the band vibing with you, I knew you found the place you needed to be. Congratulations on your album. Congratulations on your path. I'm so stoked for you. Come back and visit anytime.
Thank you so much, Kallao. And I want to say I was here when you were hired, and I was so thrilled that you were coming on board on this show. And you've just done such beautiful work since then. And it's a joy to watch you work, and it's an honor to be interviewed by you. So thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Talia Schlanger. I'm Kallao. We're back in a minute with more World Cafe.
I have torn my corners. I have loved from skin to glass. I have prayed for patience like an